And what do we do on Wednesdays? It's our Ask the Doc segment with Dr. Sandhu from All Creatures Veterinary Center in Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
Now, we need some sort of intro song here or something like that to kind of click it up there. I'll have to think of something. Aside from how much is that doggy in the window anyway? We'll come up with something. But I had to preface this, and I need to let people know who may be listening that this is a subject that a lot of people have issues with their dogs, but if you're doing something like having breakfast, you might want to set it aside or something, because I have people who have asked me this question. Can you please ask the doc this question? My dog snacks when he's out in his yard. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this, but he eats things that come out of him or her. In other words, he eats his own poo. Okay, there, I just put it out there. And a lot of people do seem to have this issue. I had a dog who did that too, and it was always kind of embarrassing, especially when company was over, you're hanging out in the backyard. Oh, no, you know. What is the cause of that, and are there any remedies?
Most of the time, it's a behavior issue, and a lot of time if the puppies, when they're growing up, they have some deficiency in minerals or things like that, they start eating, like pica is one of the issue the people have it too, eating dirt and stuff, and the dogs do that too. Sometime when they start eating dirt, and they start eating poo with that. These days there are a lot of different products. One is called Forbid. You can ask your vet, and you can get, it's a powder form. You sprinkle some on dogs' food, and eventually they stop eating. So it prohibits dogs to eat their own poo that way.
And also, again, like in a lot of cases,
keep it clean.
A lot of cases, this goes back to diet and just good dietary habits and exercise, right?
Absolutely. Diet is very important, because if you're giving a balanced diet, it has all the minerals and things body need, then there's no craving for it.
But then they can get into the habit once they've kind of
absolutely. And the second thing is, if you just keep your backyard clean and you clean it once a day, you can eliminate that problem too. And a lot of time, if they're indoor pets, you walk them and they do their job,
and then
clean
they keep
it
going.
right way.
Correct. Well, that's good to know. So that is at least from the remedies. I know that's mainly keeping it clean, diet and exercise, and also Forbid. Is it what it's called?
Forbid. Yeah.
Forbid. Okay.
I want to tell you just interesting case I had this weekend. I had one dog came in for constipation, indoor Yorkie, and he was really straining hard. So talked to the owner. We did x-rays, and on x-rays I found a lot of grit in his poo. And owners were like, he's indoor dog, we don't have any. I talked to them about if they have a cat, he might be eating poo over there. And that's, litter box clay or something is causing infection. They said, we don't have a cat. Then they told me, the dog goes out, and there are some feral cats out there, they do poo, and he does eat outside over there.
Wow, and that could be a problem, because
and that was a big infection. So we had to do multiple enemas, clean him up really good.
You never know what especially with feral cats, what could be there, because they are.
They have a lot of parasites, because nobody does deworming on them, and that could be the problem too.
I had, this is going a little bit sideways. I had a dog some time back that it was discovered he had whipworm, but I had another vet who said that that's not something that happens out here very often.
It's not common, it's not common, but if it happens, you got to be careful. They need to have proper deworming for that.
Right, and that's the thing, but whipworm is not a pretty sight.
It's not, they bleed,
Yeah, so I was just curious about that, because they had said it could be from eating something that was like a wild animal had left or something like that. So it could very well have been, because we had just moved to a new place, and who knows. But that's something you might want to think about if you're moving into a very, very, very new home that has just been built against hills.
And a lot of wildlife in that area.
Yeah, sweep the backyard, even if it's dirt before then. But I want to talk also a little bit. You had mentioned that, again, with the snake bites, still very, very heavy snake bite season.
Yeah, we are still seeing a lot of snake bites, so people need to be very careful, especially when they let their dogs out in the dark, in the evening hours. That's the time a lot of snakes comes out, because it's not too hot. So after a hot day in the evening shades or bushes, that's where we are seeing a lot of small dogs. I've seen a lot lately have little bites on their nose, and we are still seeing a lot of snake babies. It's not like the big snakes.
And the babies are more dangerous.
So people still need to be careful, and if they are not vaccinated, talk to your vet, get vaccine. And the way I told about vaccine, it does not totally, it won't protect the animal, but it'll give you a time to see your vet.
Right. So if you are in an area where it's not that easy, if you're out on a hike or something like that and need to find a vet or get back in, it extends it for a few hours, but they still definitely need treatment. Very important to understand. If you get a snake bite vaccine, they still need to have treatment if they have been bitten. When we come back, and we are talking, by the way, with Dr. Sandhu in their Ask the Vet segment every Wednesday morning after 8:30. Dr. Sandhu from All Creatures Veterinary Center and Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about, you were talking about knee injuries and things that dogs have been sustaining and what you've had to do to treat them. So this is your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We've Ask the Doc section program with Dr. Sandhu from All Creatures Veterinary Center and Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital. All Creatures Veterinary Center, by the way, located on Lyons Avenue between Newhall Avenue and Main Street. It's in the Victorian buildings. Very nice place. Also, Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital is located in the Edwards Cinema Plaza there, right there on Soledad Canyon, just down the street from the radio station here. Doctor, we talked about snake bites. We talked about some other behavioral issues earlier on, but you were mentioning it. You were seeing a lot of knee injuries from dogs.
Yeah, especially being a summertime, people are out there camping, taking dogs to the lake, beaches, and having fun with the families. So those dogs are more active outside, running around a lot. So we are seeing a lot of torn ACL or cranial cruciate ligament in dogs, which is one of the main injury. And I've done quite a few surgeries lately, and a lot of consultations about this.
And this is something, you got a lot of uneven areas out there, especially out there in the lakes and camping and hiking trails and things like that. And there are times when people kind of let the dogs off the leash, especially when they're out by themselves. There's a lot to do. So what can people do to possibly prevent that? Would just maybe keep them on a tie out a little closer to them, or what do you think? Or is there anything you really do?
It's a pet, you can't just tie them up. And especially if you're having a fun, they need to have fun out there too. That's what they're meant to be, going out, run around. A lot of time, the main problem is, if you can control their body weight, it does help a lot. And it's more common a problem with the pets, when they're overweight. And then they have more tendency to snap it.
Just like with people. And so if this is a situation where maybe most of the time they aren't that active, but they're getting out there and they're having a good time, just like anyone else. So as far as treatment goes, we're talking, is there a range of treatment? Is it mostly surgery? Or
it's mostly surgery. And
so that's...
that's a good bite. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of those surgeries, all three hospitals, so that's why we see a lot of consultations and a lot of those problems.
So the other thing you do is even when you're having fun with the dog, follow the leash laws definitely if they are out there. You can put them on kind of an extended lead, but if they're going out with you, just watch kind of how they're moving around too and what they're getting into. But so mostly surgeries. Also, on a side note too, because we had to have a little bit of our dog stayed overnight a few months ago. On a side note, your financing options are awesome in case you have to actually do that.
Oh yeah, we have a payment plan, so people don't have to worry about coming up with the money up front.
There's always ways to do that, especially, and that worked out very, very well for us because this is a hospital. It's like anything else, and the treatment that you're getting, especially, is particularly awesome. And there's nothing on that note. From surgery to other knee issues or inflammatory issues, I want to remind the listeners that you were the one that performed the regenerative therapy using stem cells. Have you had any follow-ups on that? That was a few months ago that there were 2 dogs that you had actually performed that type of treatment on, right?
We almost did over 15 dogs so far.
Oh, wow, okay.
And we are making videos, we are doing a recording, so in a month or so when we are just doing step by step, so we're going to download all those changes in our Facebook, on our websites also, so people can see how they came. And every 2-3 weeks when we do a rechecks and we do some videos, and the clients are making videos for us, so people can see the progress in those. I'm really happy with this therapy.
And this is just a regenerative. All you're really doing is you're taking some fat cells from one part of the dog.
Yeah, we just take our fat cells, we process them in hospital, so we have whole equipment, our lab in hospital. It takes us 5 hours to turn those fat cells into stem cells, and then we inject back directly where they needed to be. I have done dogs with the spinal issues, and that's what I'm waiting to see the progress, because spinal cells, they don't regenerate, but trying to find out, if these stem cells can cause some regeneration or some healing.
Especially spinal injuries, much more serious than even inflammatory. Because
Inflammatory,
it's
yeah.
very, very difficult to really make the dogs be how they were before. I've had dogs with spinal injuries. One of my German Shepherd on kind of like his last, and he wasn't able to recover from
I
that.
was just going to say that I did one dog. It's this Sunday, and he was getting weak on his hind leg and start dragging his feet. So I did injected some stem cells in his spine, and it will take me 60 days, 30 to 60 days or 90 days to see. So I'm making a video on this pet, and this will be a good example for people to see if that helps, because I haven't done it. This is my first case. I have read the studies, and it does help, but as a personal experience, this will be my good experience.
And the dogs, though, that you have treated for inflammation or arthritis, they're doing...
Those are doing really good.
Wow.
Yeah. It can eliminate. A lot of time people need a total hip replacements and things like that when there's a lot of arthritis. Doing stem cell, which is way, way less expensive.
And also from the follow-up, because there's less, as far as prescription medication and things like that, it's not invasive like a surgery would be as well, correct?
Absolutely, because first thing is surgery, second thing is when you're using anti-inflammatory drugs, they do have a side effects. It can cause some issue. In fact, if you do stem cell, we can inject directly where it's needed, so it can rejuvenate the cell in there. Plus we do intravenous also. So wherever there's inflammation process in body, for example, kidneys, bladder, liver, muscles, it goes everywhere and heal. It's like you have a crack in the wall, you're just putting up cement in there too.
That's terrific. So this, again, All Creatures Veterinary Clinic in Newhall on Lyons, between Newhall Avenue and Main Street, right there in the Victorian buildings. If you have any questions or whatever, what's the best number to reach you if they have questions about this particular procedure?
They can reach in either hospital, Canyon Country, or they can reach All Creature, or they can also reach in Lancaster. That's AV Veterinary Center. So I'm reachable 24/7.
So anytime, but that's particularly for anyone who have older dogs or just dogs with any type of inflammatory issues or arthritis. It's a really good idea to consider the stem cell regenerative therapy, which we also want to note that this is just coming from fat cells. It's not embryonic, anything like that. So
it's nothing like that. It's just simple body fat. And also we developed a new website. We call it wecarevets.com.
We Care Vets.
And all those 3 hospitals are listed in that. So if you want to reach...
.com. Awesome. Yeah. Dr. Sandhu, always a pleasure, and we wish you the best of luck and success. All Creatures Veterinary Center on Lyons Avenue, All Creatures Veterinary Hospital on Soledad, and then also the AV Veterinary Hospital out there in the Antelope Valley. Thank you so much for coming out. Always a pleasure. This is...